Hello everyone, this is Mr. E2099, and today I'm going to talk about my top 5 best and worst Marvel Comics of the year 2017. First we have, for number 5 of the best, we have Venom. Now, I wasn't a fan of the Eddie Brock Venom, but this book totally changed that around. We got to see the growth of Eddie Brock as a character. He's not obsessed with Spider-Man or killing the symbiote like he was when he first appeared or when he was partnered with Toxin. He's trying to get his life back under control. He's trying to get the symbiote to work with him, and we see him communicate with the symbiote more, and he's having a difficult time controlling the anger of the symbiote, so he goes with a chemical solution, partnering up with Alchemex for this drug to keep the symbiote under control. And we get some good moments of the symbiote by itself. We see it sneak out once when Eddie Brock is sleeping and ask this guy in a hospital about what it means to be good and to be a hero. I think that was a very interesting thing. It's been kind of hit or miss, but it's gotten better over time. So I definitely recommend that you check this book out. I've actually already done a video where I recommend this book. So check that out on my channel. Next we have Black Bolt. Now, I didn't know what to think of this series. You have Black Bolt, the king of the Inhumans, in a jail, and you know, his voice is taken from him, his powers are nullified, and he's in this prison with hardened criminals. He's in there with guys like the Absorbing Man and this female Skrull warrior, and Black Bolt was sent there under false pretenses. His brother Maximus used an image inducer to switch places with him, and even though he doesn't deserve to be there, they still torture him. They still make him reflect on all the things that he's done. And during, I forget which issue it is, but there's a moment where they're in this chamber that's continuously losing oxygen, and it's Black Bolt and the Absorbing Man, and they're talking about their lives and what got them to that point. When they start talking about their wives and the woman that they love, and how they just connected over that. And then Lockjaw shows up and he frees Black Bolt, and then the Absorbing Man realizes that he's alone and that Black Bolt's left, and he's just there begging him, "Don't leave me here. For the love of God, please don't leave me here." And then Black Bolt comes back and saves him, because they did form a very real connection through that bonding moment, which I felt was really well done. And the art's been really interesting too. So yeah, Black Bolt, check it out. Next we have Daredevil. Now, I was never really a big Daredevil fan. I mean, I liked the character well enough, but I was never a huge Daredevil fan. But this series has really been good. You get him partnered up with a hero, Blind Spot, and he's trying to, change the law. It's a lot of it is Matt Murdock being a lawyer, and he's trying to pass this law where master vigilantes are allowed to testify in court and have that be a legal precedent. And he argues this all the way up to the Supreme Court, and I found the legal drama of this just as compelling as the action and superhero sides of it. Yeah, Daredevil. Next we have Thanos, and I haven't really liked a lot of the cosmic side of Marvel. I hated all new Guardians of the Galaxy, but Thanos was really good because it broke the character down and then it brought him all the way back up in just the most amazing way. He's being hunted by this group of characters, including his brother, whose name I think is Star Fox, and his son Thane. And they get their hands on the Phoenix Egg, and Thane takes the power for himself, and he uses it to depower Thanos and just beat him up, reduce him to nothing. And then Thane starts tearing across the galaxy with death. And Star Fox goes and finds Thanos because, yeah, this guy is just as bad. We need you to stop him because we can't do it on our own. So they take him to this place called the God Quarry, which is a really interesting concept. It's like this abyss filled with dead gods, and you kind of get fused to it when you enter it. But if you're able to get your way out, you come back with enormous power. And they shove Thanos in, and he's entered into this dream world where he's like the leader of the Avengers, and everybody loves him, and he's a hero. And he's out there for like 5 seconds because he says, "No, fuck this. I'm Thanos. I am a god that destroys and brings death." And he busts out of the God Quarry, fully empowered, and he takes the fight straight to Thane. And then he actually pulls the Phoenix out of him. And then he tells Thane that, "I'm not going to kill you." And then he throws him into the God Quarry. Like, "It took me 5 seconds to get out of there. But you're a boy who doesn't know who he is." And then we see Thane yelling, "I'm sorry, please, save me." And as the stone of the God Quarry just forms over him, and he's fused and stuck there. Now we have a new arc going where it's Thanos teamed up with his distant future older self, who has succeeded in killing everything in the universe. And he's sitting in a temple made of the bones of Celestials, sitting on a throne made from Galactus's head. And then he summons his younger self, and they start fighting. And then we actually get a really cool moment where he asks for his help to find death. Now, the number one book is Iron Fist. I love everything about this book. The art, the story, the action. I cannot recommend this book enough. It's beautiful. We see Danny Rand losing his power of the Iron Fist, losing the chi of Kunlun, so he goes to this island filled with martial arts masters to try and defeat them and take their chi to regain the Iron Fist. And we see these different fighters and their different abilities and fighting styles. And just the action is so perfect. And now we have him teaming up with Sabretooth, fighting the Serpent Society. And it's really good. And some of the enemies that he faced on the island have actually followed him back to the real world. And we see this one character, it's called like the Rat of 12 Plagues. It's like this feral guy that's just filled with disease and pestilence, and that's how he fights, by infecting his opponents. It's just really amazing. I cannot recommend Iron Fist enough. Alright, now for the worst of 2017. She-Hulk. I used to love the character of She-Hulk, but this just isn't her. It's really not. It's Jen Walters. That should be the title of the book. It should just be Jen Walters, because this is a book. It's a Hulk book with very little Hulk, and we see that Jen has become afraid of her Hulk. Where before she loved it, she loved being She-Hulk. She hated being Jennifer Walters, and she's actually lost control. It's actually like She-Hulk's turned into Banner's original Hulk, where it can barely talk, it's kind of an idiot, and she can't control it. It just destroys everything. But it's so little of it that it's not even really that interesting. Now we have Invincible Iron Man. I don't even know what to say. This character is just... Riri Williams is such a horrible character. I mean, my God. There's this one part in, I believe it was issue number 8, where she's telling her teacher she wants to be an astronaut, and the teacher says, "Okay, that's a good dream, very good." And she was actually surprised that her teacher wasn't racist, and she actually stared at her until she got her to see something that was nothing. She said, "Alright, you're never going to be Tony Stark." And then she said, "I'm totally going to be Tony Stark." You can't be Tony Stark because Tony Stark is a person. Nobody else can be Tony Stark. It's just, it's ridiculous. She invades Latveria. She invades a sovereign nation and takes it over, and she barely gets a slap on the wrist. This character should be imprisoned. Jesus Christ, it's just so bad. Next we have Amazing Spider-Man. And, god damn it, Dan Slott. You have just taken Peter Parker, a character that was beloved by millions, and you made him into a loser. I'm sorry, but that's what he is. I mean, the guy used to be interesting. He had a family, he had friends, he had a wife, and yet, they took away his wife. That happened years and years ago. But yet you gave him this big company, and then you destroy it in the stupidest way possible. You had Doc Ock try and hack into Parker Industries and steal its intellectual properties, and the only way, apparently, Spider-Man could think to stop him was to delete everything. Slott, I'm a computer science major, and I could tell you that cutting the power to the buildings would have been way more effective. Because A, he still keeps the company. B, you can't hack into something that doesn't currently have power. And Jesus Christ. Now he's in a relationship with Mockingbird? That doesn't make any sense. Of all the people he should be with Mary Jane, but they're never going to do that again because of One More Day. Just, god damn it. I'm glad he's being taken off the book, and I really hope whoever comes after him can really just fix this character. I hope it's Matt Fraction, personally. Excuse me. Matt Fraction did an amazing run on Iron Man, and I think if anybody could bring back the Peter Parker that we know and love, it's him. Excuse me. Second to worst, we have America Chavez. There is not a single redeeming quality about this book. The writing was spine-breakingly cringy. The art was terrible. I actually showed this book to one of my friends who does art, and he could not understand how this art actually got published. It bewildered him. And just the way this the dialogue is so horrible. Also, there's no character development. If you took away everything about this book, the character would still be the same. There is not a single page or panel of this book that actually contributed anything to the character. And I'm not even going to get started on the writer because it's supposed to be about books. But, this person cannot write. And the narration is essentially anything that pops into her head. I don't know who's editing this book. I mean, it has an editor, but I don't know if that person is actually doing their job. And if they were, they should be fired because this book should never have been released the way it was. Next we have the absolute worst, at least in my opinion. Captain America, Steve Rogers. There are no words to describe how much I hate what Nick Spencer has done to Captain America. Captain America, my favorite hero, a character that I believed in, was made into a Nazi. Okay? That's bad enough to all the people who like Captain America, but when you add into the fact that he was made by two Jewish-American World War II veterans, people who fought actual Nazis, real Nazis, not the Nazis that people call today on the internet, it's just a slap in the face to their legacy. I forget who said it, but it was written in an article that Jack Kirby is spitting in his grave and Joe Simon is going to crawl out of his and kill everybody. And I would not blame him if he did. I'm not calling for violence or anything, but, it's just such a disgrace to such a great character. And I know it's not the worst, but just when you take the symbol for America, someone that's supposed to embody the ideals that the country should stand for and strive for, and you make him say, "Hail Hydra," there is nothing worse than that, in my opinion. It's... I have no words to describe how much I hate this. Alright, everybody, this has been Mr. E2099. These have been my best and worst of Marvel Comics for 2017. Feel free to write in the comments what you think is the best and the worst. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later.